Welcome to Profoundly Speaking with yours truly. I'm Undrai Fizer. I hope you are doing very well. I hope that you have intentionally pursued and built what it is you desire to see. And one thing about God, He isn't magic. He believes in work. He doesn't believe in toil, but God believes in work. The best supernatural debt cancellation you could experience are the bills you intentionally pay yourself. Bills that are established by purpose instead of want or competition. Having a governed desire doesn't necessarily mean lawless or beyond your means. And having a means doesn't necessarily mean you're limited. It means according to your assignment. Our assignment provides what we need at the time. And as we master our assignment, we get an increase. Increase without governance is lawlessness. Praying to God for supernatural increase when our ways are severely insufficient is not a good prayer. Praying for increase, receiving increase when our ways are insufficient is not a proper prayer. Proper wealth is knowing what to ask for when you have the ways and the perception that's in alignment with what you ask for. God doesn't give increase to people who rapidly decrease the appreciation of the increase. So the kingdom is a common sense, responsible reality that takes all of the fluff, all of the lack of governance out of our prayer and desire. And in this moment, God is calling us to clarify more than testify. He's calling us to have the ability to clarify ourselves. Don't ask for increase when your perception is insufficient. And sometimes we ask for increase when we've severely mismanaged the resources that we have. And so we take the scriptures that say when we lack wisdom, ask of God, or decree by faith, and we decree by faith what we have destroyed by lack of discipline. And in order to have great faith, it's imperative to have great discipline and management. If I ask for increase with a spirit of insufficiency, I'm going to destroy the increase that I asked for. So if I can't manage what I have, if I can't manage the nothing I have over time, then I can't ask for something, because I'm going to treat the something like the nothing I have. Am I making sense? So God isn't magic. God isn't a genie. And sometimes in our spirituality, we see God as a genie. And we talked about this today, and welcome everyone. We talked about this morning in our fundamentals session. Sometimes our ways are reflections of a perception that we have. If we perceive God in the wrong way, our ways would emulate how we perceive God. And you can't change your ways when your perception is out of alignment. We talked about, how do we see God? Do we see God as a business? Do we see God the way we see business? Or do we see God as a free-spirited charity? Do we perceive God in business? We talked about folks who went to college. And we said, when you went to college, what happened? So most people talked about how they maintained a certain GPA. They started thinking about college as a junior. And then they applied for scholarships. If they didn't get the scholarship, they had to apply for the college to be accepted into college. And then they had to apply for FAFSA or different financial aids Some got a scholarship, some got partial scholarships, but they had to prepare. They just didn't get in a car and drive to the college. They saw the college as a professional institution that required application and a GPA. In the realm of the spirit, how many of you know what your GPA is? How many of you actually applied for school? Or did you get in a car and drive across the country and go in the classroom for free? Because if you perceive the kingdom as a free-spirited, sincere, grace, charity case, then your ways will reflect a charity. And when you hear strong truth, you won't be able to take it because you never applied for it. You never maintained a certain GPA for it. And you looked at the things of the spirit, not as business, but as a charity. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Jesus said when he was 12 years old, when his parents lost him, he said, "Didn't you know I would be about my Father's business? Didn't you know that I would be about my Father's business?" But if we perceive the kingdom as a free-for-all, charismatic, free-spirited charity case, our ways will reflect the charity. So we won't think about application. We won't think about GPA. We won't think, I need to get ready if I'm going to go to apply for this kingdom. Not salvation. Salvation is free. But the governance of defining your purpose, your excellence, and your governance is a business decision between you and your spirit. It's not a free-for-all, whatever you think, I'm going to get in a car and drive across the country and go walk in a college for free. No, if you won't go to a Walmart with nothing in your pocket, you shouldn't go to the things of God with nothing in your pocket. And it's not a matter of offering giving. It's a matter of how you approach the things of God with excellence. It's a matter of how you perceive. But if you perceive something as free and just free for all, then your ways are going to reflect it. And you'll find yourself, your life validates what you're good at and what you're not good at. If there are things in your life that you physically see, your ways says you could have them. But if you desperately need something that's missing in your life has validated or affirmed that you're not good at it. Your ways have scared off the things you need. You may need a relationship, but don't have it because your ways said you don't handle those good. You may need money and don't have it because your ways have said you don't handle money good. Your perception of a thing determines how your ways respond to a thing. Am I making sense, guys? See, when your ways, when you don't have what you need, when the things you need are missing, it's saying that you may have the skill, but you don't have the right perception. It's not a matter of sin. Your ways won't take care of the things that are missing. And when your perception of things get better, your ways get better, and those things that are missing will start coming back to you. Am I making sense? See, there were times I didn't have credit. I didn't have provision because my ways said you're not good with it. So it was missing in my life. But when my perception of money and discipline and governance got better, my ways got better, and the things that were once missing in my life came back. You see, some of us have destructive ways. We have a destructive concept of faith. We don't know what faith is. We have sincerity, but we don't know faith. And so we throw ourselves on the mercy of the Bible and we just gamble with ourselves. And we create destructive things and poverty and lack because we just throw ourselves on the mercy of God. We just throw ourselves out there. And it's like God is saying, no, I want you to govern. The saints need to be perfected. Ephesians 4:11 says, and the Lord sent gifts to the church, apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, the governing of the saints. Not just the correcting of the saints and to remove the sin of the saints, but to perfect the saints and how they think and how they imagine and how they build and how they work and how they establish and how they think and how they see. How many of you follow what I'm talking about? When you begin to be perfected in how you see a thing, your ways will be reestablished, and the things that you were once missing will start coming back to your life. It's not saying you don't have the skill for it. You probably don't have the right perspective of the thing. And when your perspective of money is wrong, you won't have any. When your perspective of faith is wrong, you won't have any. When your perspective of relationships are wrong, you won't have any. You may need them, but God can't supply what you can't handle. God can't supply what you're going to destroy. And we'll go to the word of God and use the word. God, you said you will supply all of my needs according to your riches. But if my mind is poor, God is not going to supply my needs with a poor mind. And you can't get anybody to lay hands on you and take away a poor mind. You need to think and see and read and study and know God can't take away a poor mind with getting hands laid on. Impartation doesn't give you the ability to read. Study gives you the ability to read. Impartation does not give you the ability to critically think. Being patient gives you that. It says in 1 Peter, I believe in 1 Peter or 2 Peter, add to your faith knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control diligence. Begin to add to yourself. How many of you are adding to yourself? But if you say, I didn't know, you can't say you didn't know when the resources are readily available. Am I making sense? How we perceive God determines our ways. You just don't have ways because that's all you know. Our ways are established by how we see the things in our life. And if we see God as just a charity, free for all, free, then our ways are going to be that way. But if we see God as a business, not salvation, but if we see the kingdom ran as a business, you won't just go across the country with no application and no background check. Because see, if you're going to get a certain job, they want to do a background check. And you'll willfully accept the background check. And then in the kingdom, we don't accept the background check. We call it judging. And a lot of times if our credit is terribly bad, we don't get the job. It's not a matter if you're going to fondle with a kid, but if you can't handle your personal business, sometimes they don't want people who can't handle their personal business with diligence. They don't want them to represent them at the workplace. You mean to tell me my bad credit could keep me from getting hired? Because it means you can't keep your word to yourself or to other things. So if you can't keep your word to other things, how are you going to keep up with this when we know we need our jobs to pay our bills? But if you have a history of broken covenant, in the background check, they can say you're not worthy to work. I know it seems funny, but that's the truth. How many of you consider background checks in the kingdom? How many of you consider I must apply? How many of you must consider I got to see what my grade point average is in my spirit, in my pursuit, in my life? What is my grade point average? What is my average of study? Not just Bible reading, but paying attention and adjusting accordingly to what I'm paying attention to. What is your GPA? What does your transcript speak of in the kingdom? Because we think the kingdom is a free grace, spirit, free-for-all charity for everybody. It's for everybody. So we think it's free, that it don't require a significance in thought, that it don't require discipline in management, that it doesn't require how to see, that it doesn't require how to act, that it doesn't require how to communicate, because we think God just knows our heart. And so how we perceive it as a charity, we begin to live as a charity. Am I making sense? There is an excellence to God. And but see, we perceive it as judging people for what they have and don't have. No, God doesn't judge if you ride in a new car or used car. God looks at diligence and investments. He gave 3 different people talents, 1 5, 1 3, and 1 1. He said, I'm going on a long journey, and he gave them money, and one guy invested it and turned his 5 talents into 10. The other guy took his talents of 3 and increased it to 5. And the other had 1 and he kept it. They had money, not just gifts. So the king came back and said, what did you do with what I left you? So God is into maximizing what you were given, not judging what you do, but into governing what you do, because the kingdom is a governance. It's an order. It's an authority. It's an influence of maximization in taking what you have and making more, revealing your divine supernatural quality of creativity, not just making beautiful things that have no substance. What's your GPA when it comes to that? Do you just go across the country by faith without applying for it? Do you just go and sit at the college and they don't know your name? So if you won't do it to a store or a real school, why do it in the realm of Jesus? Why do it there and think you're going to get tangible learning and tangible money and tangible provision with make-believe ethics? You can't have a make-believe ethic and get a tangible result. You can't have just a wish-wash, loose spiritual throw-out and get tangible results from it. You follow what I'm saying? Things of God require tangible movement. Everybody say tangible movement. Yeah. And see, there is a supernatural, but the supernatural takes the natural. The supernatural provides a divine reality to a natural means. When you begin to look at the scripture, David did kill the giant, but other people had been killed. That was a real army. Goliath wasn't an allegory. Goliath was an actual soldier that killed hundreds. David killed people. So David had to stand in the real battlefield with a real sling and a real stone and knock the giant down with the stone, but he took the giant's sword and cut off his head. That was a real killing. That was a real thing. Moses took real people across a real sea. The water opened. It was supernatural, but they had to walk for miles. They walked for miles in the desert. It wasn't a supernatural walk. They walked for miles. Jesus caught real fish, spoke to a real storm. Jesus raised a real dead person from the grave. He healed a real blind man. He told the blind man, if you want to see, the man came to Jesus, and Jesus spit on the ground and wiped the man's eyes and told the blind man to go wash himself. He told a man who can't see, find water for yourself. and wipe your own eyes. Some of us are blind and can't see, and nobody can lead us to the water, because Jesus told that man, if you want to see, find some water. Let me see you walk and find some water. You blind. I'm still going to give a blind person a responsibility to capture or recapture his own sight. You just didn't pray for him. He spit on the ground and mudded up his eyes and said, go wash your own face. I put the mud on your eyes, but I want you to wash your own face. How many of you are washing your own blinded eyes? You can't see, you falling, go find you some water. You blind, but I want you to move like the sight you want to have. I know you are blind, but I want you to walk around here like you see already. If you want to see, walk blind like you see. It's not magic. Oh my God. How many of you hear what I'm saying? You blind. If you want to see, walk blind like you see. If you want to see, act like you want to see by finding you some water. Ask somebody to lead you to some water. If you want to see and you blind, if you will find water for yourself, you're not going to do what it takes to lose your sight again. See, a lot of us ask for increase with poverty ways, with a poverty communication system, with a lack mentality, but we pray and we try to decree and make God come through. Increase isn't attracted to need. Increase is attracted to management. Increase is not attracted to need. You see what I'm saying? That's right. If you want to see, if you blind, act like you can see. He said, if you want to see, go find water like you can see where it is. Because if you find the water, you're going to keep your sight this time. See, if we need something in our life and it's missing, it's because our ways said we're not good enough to keep it. It's not saying we're not good. It says we're not good with what's missing. The reason it's missing is because we're not good at it. Whatever you have is something you're good at. If you don't have it and you need it, your ways are not good enough to keep it yet. If you need a relationship and you don't have it, it ain't a matter that it's not time. It's you're not good with them. Your perspective or your perception on certain relationships and what they're for is keeping you without it. And when your mind changes for the better, your ways will change and the relationships will come to you. Not illegal relationships, not illicit relationships, but real God-ordained relationships. If you don't have any money and you need it, it's saying you're not good with it. You understand what I'm saying? When your ways get better, when your perspective gets better, your ways get better. When your ways get better, provision starts coming back. Credit start coming back to you. Why? Because you can handle it now. No need of giving you what you can't handle. So if you want to see and you're going to keep your sight, go find you a pool of water and wash your face blind. You're blind, act like you see. And sometimes we act and go right back to our destructive mindset and ways. We say our heart is on one thing, but we're preoccupied with another. Wherever your heart is what you're occupied with. Your heart can't be on the kingdom while you preoccupy with other stuff other than the kingdom. Whatever you are occupied with, that is your heart. Whatever you are occupied with, that is your heart. Whatever you are daily dealing with, you are dealing with your heart. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? So when our perspective of life and mind change for the greater, our ways are changed. You can't change your ways until you change your sight. You can't change your ways until you change how you see God. And if you see God as a charity case, a free-for-all, a charismatic free-for-all where everybody just shoot they shot, then your ways are going to look that way. Until you see God the right way. The right way. You going to college, you're not going to just pack up your car and go to a college you never applied for and go to the class and sit down. Because you know it's a college. You need your transcript, you need your grades, you need your FAFSA, you need your financial aid. You need all of those things. You follow what I'm saying? We treat God like he's just a free tent. And we just show up there and just go. It's like, well, you see God wrong. So no matter how sincere you are in your ways, you're not going to achieve anything. Because your ways are following an impoverished perspective of God and the kingdom. Do you hear what I'm saying, guys? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, our ways. You can't change your ways until your vision changes. Because all of our ways follow our vision. We follow naturally how we see things to be. When my view of money changed, my ways changed, and the credit that I thought I wasn't going to ever need again came back to me. Everything that was missing in my life came back to me. What I had present in my life already validated that you're good with this. You're good with writing. That's why you have books. You're good with speaking. That's why people listen. You're good with this. That's why you have that. You're good. My ways validated. See, people could tell you you're good, but your life tells on you. People could say how good you are, but your ways will reveal the truth. So whatever I physically had present, my ways validated that I was good with those things, but there were things I needed that was missing. And whatever you need that's missing is being scared off by a perspective you have. You may have the right skill, but the wrong perspective. You might say, I know I'm good enough for the job, but you don't have the right perspective for the job. You're looking at the job in one light. And so your skills are matching how you have perceived the job. And then you say, I don't know why they didn't hire me. I was good. I got this. I said everything. I got everything right on the test. But you're looking at the responsibility the wrong way. Am I helping you? See, this is a GPA and life application we have to see. We're accustomed with applying the word to our life. But have you applied to go to school? Have you ever applied to go to the University of the Original Thinking? Did you ever check your GPA? Did you ever create a resume? Did you ever create, this is my background communication, to look at my seriousness to be here? Without feeling that you're being picked on or judged. You feel what I'm saying? See, there's a lot of excellent things of the kingdom that we just don't see. Because we look at a God who don't judge us, who will just take us as we are. And God don't judge you to save you. But your ways do judge you. The reason we lack faith is how we perceive things. The reason we lack certain power in faith is how we perceive ourselves and how we ignorantly perceive the word. It's a certain way that we perceive God that determines the faith we live from. And therefore, we put everything on God to live it for us. Your perspective determines the degree of faith that you have. It's not your ability to believe that God can do anything and I'm just going to jump off this hill in his arms. But the way you perceive faith determines everything you do. The way you perceive personal management determines everything you do. And before you know it, we have to have hope messages every week. Every week, we have to tell the saints to wait until next week to see what God's going to do. Every week, we have to preach a message telling the saints to wait again for next week for God. Hold on again. So before you know it, we have 10 years and 15 years and 20 years of telling the saints to hold on week by week. It's coming soon. You coming. You about to do it. Every week we gotta promise people to hold on another week. And after a while, people say, that's the hell with that. You understand what I'm saying? We're teaching people to hold on for something they can't see week after week. After a while, people are just becoming robots with faith. Instead of saying, wait a minute, maybe I need to work. Maybe I need to rethink this. Maybe I need to see this different. Maybe I need to stop making God a magical whatever, thinking I got it. What's your GPA when it comes to faith? What's your grade point average when it comes to comprehension and consistency and self-discovery? What's your GPA system? How do you handle tests? What's your grade point average? Am I making sense to you? Yeah. It's time to clarify. It's time to know how you get there from here. It's time to know, how do you move from here to there? It's time to stop. Well, I don't have to know as long as the Lord. I understand that. But now the Lord wants you to know. He wants you to know. I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave. Jesus fed 5,000 men, not counting women and children. So it's probably 7,000 to 8,000. Jesus, first of all, said, who has a lunch? And the little boy had 2 pieces of fish, 5 loaves of bread. Jesus said, take the people and sit them down in groups of 50. So Christ believes in order. He said, sit the people down in groups of 50. Sit the people down in groups of 50. Then he prayed over it and he blessed it. But he first established the numeric order. Sit the people down in a group of 50. How many of you have broken down these impossibilities in groups of 50? So therefore, you know the excellence and the criteria of this faith that you're moving into. Am I making sense? Yeah. Look, I'm Undrai Fizer. Replay this and look at it again. I'm not going to talk till you get it. I'm not going to talk till you feel it. I think you understand what I'm talking about. If you got an offering or a tuition or an investment that you want to sow in what you heard at this store today, if there is an investment that you want to sow for your prenatal care, for the word that's sparking your vision, you can give to $ Coach Fizer. That's Cash App, $ Coach Fizer. If you have the Fizer Interglobal app, go to the investment in purpose, and you can click that link and give a PayPal investment on there if you desire. Okay? You could do that. You can do that, whatever you sense. If we treat God like a free-for-all, your ways are going to be free-for-all. But if you see God as a legitimate business, not bottom line and customers white, black, water fountain, but if you see God as the corporation as he is, the business structure that he is, you won't do crazy things with it. There will be a respect when you move into it, because I see the business of God instead of the charity where I pick through the table to find my size. If you look at God as a charity, your ways will be a charity. And you'll find yourself asking for increase with insufficient ways. God, I need increase. I receive it. And when they're on, you'll find yourself playing those games on Facebook. Touch this to see if you're a millionaire. Just to see something going to your favor on Facebook. Playing these little games that declare you something. Just so you could see that algorithm declare you something that you don't have. because we're curious about ourselves. Touch this if you're a Capricorn. Touch this if you were born in February. And we'll click it to see if it plays and see how we gamble with ourselves to see what it'll say to us. Because we are dying to see how life sees us because we don't know. And we'll receive wealth with a very insufficient mindset, which causes the money we have to act little. And so we ask God to give us more and hold him accountable to the word when our life won't let us manage the portion we have. Am I making sense? It's time to change that. We're in the right season. This is a different season. This is a season of excellence where we have to overcome the fear of thinking. We're afraid to think. We're afraid to talk. We have so much of a need, we can't think. We're so broke, we don't have the time to think. We need a loan. Money is attracted to management, not need. You hear what I'm saying? I'm Undrai Fizer. Thank you.